Can you hear me? Good. All right. Well, I have several disclaimers to make before we start. One is that I'm used to talking to third and fourth graders. So if I start treating you like elementary school students, that's why, but I'm going to try to act like an adult today. And I am no expert. People say, oh, you're the mountain lion expert. No, I am no expert. Quentin Martins is the expert. And I am also no Quentin Martins, believe me. But I will do my best. I am not a fan of house cats. People wonder if you love mountain lions, don't you love house cats? And I'm not really crazy about house cats. And the reason why is that they jump on your counters and they jump on your furniture. And the reason I like mountain lions is that they don't jump on your couch and they don't jump on your furniture or your counters. So I am really happy to be here today talking to you about mountain lions. And I know that I am not the main attraction. They are the main attraction. So let's go and see if I can make this work. Okay, wait. Pushing the wrong button. Okay, Jeff, I'm pushing all the arrows. Oh, wait, I can use my remote. That doesn't work either. Okay. Oh, great. Oh, it's on my, Jeff, it's here. It's not. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. So during the Pleistocene era, which is also the late Ice Age era, these were the cats that were roaming North American continent. And you'll notice on the far left is an American lion. And if you go down to the right, you'll see saber-toothed tiger, jaguar, cheetah, and our mountain lion. And that American lion on the left looks a lot like an African lion, but it weighs about 900 pounds, and a male African lion weighs about 600 pounds. So this is significantly larger. And so we think of the mountain lion on the far right as a mesopredator, which means that it was preyed upon by those larger cats. So it had predators that preyed upon it, and then it would prey upon smaller animals. And so it probably contributes to its more mild temperament because it was always on the lookout for, big 900-pound cats that might come after it. And that is one of the reasons why we think today it's just in their DNA that their temperament is a little more moderate than, than the bigger cats. I'm going to show you a picture now, a video. Come on. Quentin, I used to study, Quentin Martins is South African. He used to study the Cape leopards in South Africa. And this is one of them. And I'm going to show you the difference between when they would capture a Cape leopard and when we capture the mountain lions here. And you'll see a significant difference in their level of aggression. Okay, so compare that to, wait a minute. Compare that to this. This is our mountain lion, just having been caught. Wow. That looks like a kitty cat, doesn't it, compared to the other one? Yeah. Okay, so if I were catching out of these two, I'd rather catch this one than a Cape leopard. Okay. It's awfully sweet, I know. Okay, wait a minute. Okay. So this is the study area for the Living with Lions project. I didn't really say that Quentin Martins runs the Living with Lions project. Some people occasionally call it the North Bay Mountain Lion Project. Its official name is Living with Lions. It was started in 2016, This is their study area where they can monitor and study the cats. They only have permission to capture the cats and collar the cats. Let me see if I could work this fancy little thing. No, it's working on my computer. If anybody wants to come up here and look at my computer, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. Okay, I'm just going to show you. So see where it says Petaluma? That's 101, and it runs all the way up, as you know. The permit that Living with Lions has allows them to capture and collar mountain lions pretty much to the east of 101. They can collar and capture a mountain lion on the west of 101 if that cat has killed livestock or has been, some kind of a problem on the west side of 101. Then they can go, it's called a predation event when they, they're a predator for an animal that they're not supposed to be eating. And so if a rancher or a landowner calls Quentin and says, a cat just ate my goats, he can go over there and capture it and collar it and then monitor them. Now, the other thing about this, it's interesting, obviously, part of this is Lake County up above, part of it is Napa County on the right. They are applying for permits in Marin County, but that's been going on for a couple years now and they haven't gotten the permits. But if we capture and collar a mountain lion in this study area and it wanders into Marin, we're still going to monitor the cat. We're not going to turn off the collar if it goes into Marin County or if it goes up into Mendocino County. So we can monitor them up there. We just can't capture them and collar them. So trail cameras are a very important part of the research that's going on. Trail cameras help us to, to appreciate the biodiversity of the ecosystems in Sonoma County and Lake County, et cetera. And there's a very, very rich biodiversity here. But it also gives us a very good idea about where the predominance of the lion activity is, because when the lions show up on these cameras that we have out, and we've got over 120 of them out there, then we know that that's a place that we might want to go and set up an operation to catch them. If it's a cat if we see I do not do this, but if they see a cat on the camera and it's a cat that they are interested in, it's not collared, or it's a cat that is collared, but the battery is low, or they're not getting the signal that they want from the collar, then they will go out to the area where it's been seen by one of these cameras, and they will often take a deer carcass. And this would be something that they would have found, roadkill, something like that. At certain times of the year, Quentin has a whole freezer full of deer from deer kill, if you can imagine that. Anyway, so he will take one of those deer out and he'll usually rope it to a tree or wire it to a tree and see if the lion comes back. Sometimes they don't come back because they're just passing through, but sometimes they do come back and they, may feed on that deer that's roped there. And then he will go out the next day and put a trap out there. And by trap, I don't mean something that's going to hurt the mountain lion. It's a cage. He'll put a big cage out there and he will bait that with a deer carcass at the back of the cage and wire it on. And so hopefully the mountain lion will come back and walk into that cage, and then it will get trapped like that. The mountain lions typically take 2 to 3 nights to eat a deer carcass. So they don't just eat it in one night and they disappear. That you can almost always count on them coming back another night or even 2 nights after that. If anybody is interested in being part of this, what we call citizen scientist project, which means that you would have a camera on your property And there are a number of people in Oakmont who do have these trail cameras on their property and are sighting mountain lions on a fairly regular basis. I have one in my backyard. I live up Oak Mesa, and I probably see images of mountain lions at least once a month. And they're always going back down into the ravine or coming up out of the ravine behind my house. So I never see them, but I see the images of them. And they also are nocturnal. They travel at night. They hunt at night. So they're much more likely to be seen at night, so much less likely to be seen by us. Although they do walk around and they are active during the day, they're just not as active, and they would much prefer to be hiding under cover during the day than they would for you to see them. So anyway, the information about this trail camera project is on the table in the back if anybody would like to be part of it. Audubon Canyon Ranch and Living with Lions staff and volunteers will come out and check your camera on a regular basis and take those images, for their research purposes. But it's still on your property and you're kind of part of the whole process. So if you're interested, that is back there. Okay. Oh, so this next sequence of pictures, I'm going to show you 4 pictures that were taken in sequence of by one of these cameras of a mountain lion. This is a great example of, a cat that obviously saw something and was kind of on high alert, like, maybe I should be interested in that. And so the camera was taking pictures of it, and it went from that to this. Now, the other really nice thing about these cameras is you get these magnificent pictures of these animals that you would never get. Nobody's going to be, well, I guess somebody could have been on that trail and seen that mountain lion, but not terribly likely. It was at 5 o'clock at night. You can see down at the very bottom black strip on there, it says 19, which is 5 o'clock. I think it's 5, isn't it? Oh, that's 7. Yeah, 7 o'clock. That's right. Okay, so that's the second picture, and it looks like the lion's pretty interested in whatever it's seeing. Look at that gorgeous tail. Did you know that mountain lions' tails help them balance? It's one of the adaptations that they have. And of course, those ears are another adaptation. They are, because they're nocturnal, they have night vision. They can see at midnight in the pitch dark, just like you would see at dusk. So their night vision is another adaptation. They have a lot of adaptations. Even their whiskers are part of are an adaptation, and it helps them sense where they are in the dark when they're going through small spaces. There's lots, of course, their back legs and those muscles in the back legs. Mountain lions can jump 15 feet high from a standstill. They can jump, they can leap 20 feet or 22 feet. So Anita, if you were a deer and I were a mountain lion, you would want to be careful or get out of there really fast. And that's from a standstill. And they can leap 40 feet when they're running. So those back legs are pretty useful, and those muscles. And the other thing is, if you were jumping down from 15 feet high, I'm guessing your feet might hurt, right? My feet would hurt. They would probably be broken, or my legs would. Well, their front paws and legs absorb that, absorb the shock of, jumping down from 15 feet. So that's another adaptation. I could go on and on, but I'll just tell you those. Okay, so here's another image. Looks like the cat was pretty interested in what it was, but it was right at the edge of an embankment going down. Am I in anybody's way over here? No, okay. All right, and then the next picture just shows you that it decided to back off. But this is a really lovely sequence that we get, and it just teaches us about these beautiful, beautiful cats. Oh, here's another. Oh, you're just gonna love this one. Okay, you have to be quiet and listen. When I tell third graders that, it's really hard for them to do, but I bet you guys will be better at this. Okay, so this is another image caught by a camera. The lion on the right there is the mother, and she and 3 of her babies are going to be You'll see them come out of the bush on the left. And see if you can hear what the babies sound like. It's not what you would expect. That was a baby. That's a baby. They sound like birds. Wait till you see it. It's even cuter than it sounds. So I think that mom had, there's another one coming up from the left. I think that mom had probably just put those kittens in her den, and dens are not underground. They're just at the bottom of trees, or they're in rocky places where the kittens can be safe. On some of our footage, we found that she had left those kittens for 36 hours when she had to go hunting, because she has to keep herself well fed and she has to hunt on a regular basis so that she will be able to feed her babies. Now, she doesn't feed them meat, obviously, it's just that they're nursing, but she has to be very healthy. So in some instances, we've seen that she's been gone for as long as 36 hours, which is a long time to leave those babies by themselves. You did see that the baby was all spotted. Did you notice that? That's an adaptation for the babies because it helps them be camouflaged in wherever they've been left, you know. And when you see a picture of one of these spotted babies, you know, it's kind of a dappled picture of, you know, shade and sun and stuff like that. It's really amazing that those spots really do help camouflage the little babies. So anyway. Okay, capturing and collaring and tracking the mountain lions is obviously the big part of living with lions. So this is a picture of one of the cages that gets put out. If you can, I think you can probably see the length of it. It's got plenty of room for a mountain lion to be in it, so it's not terribly cramped for the lion. This particular one was a walk-through cage. There are walk-through cages, and then there are cages that also, or they call them traps, that also have where's that? That little arrow made me all confused. Anyway, there are cages that are walk-throughs with both ends open. There are cages with a permanent back. And the ones with the permanent back are the ones that are used when a deer carcass is put in the back to bait it in order to attract an animal to go into it. These walk-through ones, they're not using them very much anymore, but they used them for a while. And what they would do is because of the camera images that we would get, and we've gotten really over like 3 million camera images of these cats, they would see that there was lion activity in a particular area. They would go set up one of these traps, hope that a lion would come back and go through this. When it does go through it, there is a what do they call it, treadle or something, you know, something, the floor has a pressure apparatus on it, so that when the mountain lion steps on it, it measures the weight of the mountain lion. And so it will not close if it's a fox or if it's a rabbit or if it's a raccoon or something like that. And there could be plenty of those walking along this trail too. And then you see the ultrasonic pulses as well. That also measures the height of the mountain lion. And so again, it won't close on any animal that is not a typical size or weight of a mountain lion. And when they do these walkthroughs, they cover them with foliage, you know, leaves and sticks and branches and stuff like that, so that they're not terribly obvious. So here is an image of a mountain lion going into one of those cages. I knew you were going to do that. Oh. But see, the cat is fairly docile for having just been, very docile for having just been captured. And so what will happen is, first of all, I want to point out one thing. The door does not close all the way. It closes to about this far from the bottom of the cage. And that is just so that if that beautiful long tail does not go all the way in with the lion, that it does not, hurt the lions, it doesn't hurt the lion. Utmost care, I can guarantee you the absolute utmost care is taken with these lions when they are captured. So they are captured like this. A signal is sent to the computer, Quentin's computer, usually sometime between 8 at night and 4 in the morning, because that's when they're most active. And so he will call his team. There's usually 5 or 6 people that go out. It's Quentin who goes out as the director of the Living with Lions project. It is a vet that goes out because the vet is responsible for maintaining the well-being of the cat during the workup. And then they have a couple people who are taking notes. And often if it's on a landowner's property, the landowner is invited to also, come and observe the capture. So what'll happen is that Quentin and the vet will approach the cage first. They will dart shoot a dart into the cat that will give it, its medicine to tranquilize it. The tranquilizer lasts for about 40 to 45 minutes. And so they have to do their whole workup, which I'll show you a picture of in a minute, within that 40 to 45 minutes. And the cat doesn't just instantly come back, like, here I am, I'm ready to eat you. It'll just gradually, be in a groggy stage. And that's when they back off and let the cat wake up. They used to put the cat back in the cage for it to wake up, but they've got a new medicine that they're using that apparently wakes them up more quickly. And so they just leave them outside the cage. They back off and they let the cat come back to. Cats, these mountain lions are not interested in people. They're not aggressive toward people typically, but they are not interested in us. So it's not like that leopard. Quentin said he would never have done that kind of, letting the leopard wake up on its own, because the leopard would likely come back and get them. But mountain lions, you can just let them wake up on their own because they just want to get back out into the woods. They're not interested in, figuring out who it was that caught them. So anyway, this is not a picture of the workup. Let me see if okay, there it is. Okay, so when they get there, they tranquilize the cat. They wait for it to go to sleep. Then they put it on a tarp in the cage, and then they pull the tarp out. And you'll see, I think you can probably see at the head, you see that black thing on the head of the mountain lion? That is just a cover that they put over the mountain lion's head, particularly its eyes, because they don't totally, close their eyes and just shut everything out. So they can still see shadows and movement and stuff like that, even when they're tranquilized. So that is an effort to just reduce the stress level of the cat by just putting like a mask on it, so that it won't have to worry about people are moving around about it. Now, this is the vet. There's 2 vets that they work with. This is one of them. And he is taking the temperature, he's taking the heart rate, he takes a blood sample, he takes fur samples, and he monitors the temperature of the cat throughout the whole workup. If the cat gets too cold, he will put heat pads on the cat to warm it up to its normal temperature. If it gets too hot, they will put alcohol under, I don't know if cats have armpits, but they put them whatever is equivalent to my armpit. That's what they do there. They put alcohol to cool down the cat if it were to get too hot. You can see that they're measuring it. They take measurements of everything. And this looks, I think this is probably a cat that was already collared. The reason that they would recapture a cat is if the battery has, gone down on the collar, and they're not getting regular signals anymore. It's a GPS collar. So the signals go up to a satellite and come back down to the computer, and they come in every 2 hours. So we get a data point every 2 hours on these, night and day, on these cats and where they are. So this may have been a situation where they wanted to have this cat because they wanted to recollar it. The collars are programmed to drop off at a certain point because, one, you don't want the mountain lion to have to wear it for 5 years, and two, sometimes the cat is growing. They cannot put one on a cat that is smaller, that is younger than 10 months, or is weighs less than 50 pounds. So you can't, they will tag those. You can't see it in this picture, but they tag all the cats that they catch. And there's a tag on the right ear if it's a female, and a tag on the left ear if it's a male. And that is just so that later, if they recatch that cat, but it's not a collared cat, they can still identify it as one that they've already caught in the past. And so they do this whole workup. They measure everything, the length, the weight, the everything, and take all those samples that I was talking about. But they just go to every extent possible to make sure that they don't stress the cats out. And here's a close-up of, so they even measure their teeth. And you can age a cat. You can tell what age a cat is by looking at its teeth. I think most dentists, isn't it true that most dentists can tell basically how old we are by our teeth? I think that's true. But anyway, I know it's true for mountain lions, so it doesn't matter if it's true for people. Okay, I just thought that was interesting. But, maybe I'm lying. I don't know. Okay, so they measure teeth. These canines that you see that are pretty sharp are used for, in the hunt for clamping on the, clamping on the prey. Mountain lions are ambush hunters, and they're not like cheetahs or lions in Africa. They don't chase their prey and then, like try to catch it when they do have to catch it when it's running, because if they catch a deer, the deer is going to take off as soon as the mountain lion starts to move toward it. Anyway, so they'll stalk a deer or whatever they want. And they have huge paws with these very soft, cushions on them so that they can walk very quietly. And so they'll stalk their prey, and then they will pounce on the prey. And the way they kill it is that they sink those teeth into usually the neck of the high back neck of their prey. These teeth, these little teeth, in the top and the bottom, those are their incisors. This is also an adaptation. I'm going to quiz you after this on all the adaptations. Those are used once they kill a deer. They will pull all the fur off of the deer using those incisor teeth. It's fascinating. I've seen a picture of it happening. They pull all the hair off. But I mean, think about it. If you caught a deer, would you like to eat it with its fur on or with its fur off? So the deer think that it's better with the fur off. So they take all the fur off, and then they open the stomach area and they remove the innards. They probably eat the liver and the heart, but they get rid of the stomach. There's no reason for them to eat the stomach. It's mostly grass if it's in a deer, And so they take the stomach, 100 feet away. I don't really know exactly how far they go. Never asked them. But anyway, they take it a ways away and they bury it. And they cache it. And caching, when a mountain lion catches a deer and it starts to feed on it one night, I told you that it'll take 2 to 3 nights for it to finish off a deer. And so it will cache the deer in the morning after it's eaten some of it. And that just means they cover it with, soil and leaves and twigs and everything that they can do to kind of, minimize the visual, of that there's a carcass here. It also reduces the smell. So they will, so other predators are less likely to find that prey if it's been cached than if they just left it out there in the open. They would come back the next night and the vultures would have cleaned up. The vultures are very active in Sonoma County. So anyway, that's the story about this. Oh. So there are 46 mountain lions in the Living with Lions study, but only 33 of them have been collared. And that's because, as I told you, they're either too young, and they don't weigh enough, or that would be the reason they're not collared. They're captured but not collared. There are only 7 active collars right now. So that means that of those 33 that have been collared, and this is since 2016, so it's a long time. Those that were collared and are no longer collared, it just means that their collars dropped off, or their collar battery stopped working, or they've been killed, or they've died of a natural cause. There are incidents when they do find that, a lion that has died. They get called if a mountain lion is killed. So does Fish and Wildlife. And they can get the collar back, and they can actually they can reuse the collar if they refurbish it. So what have they learned? Come on. So this is a map, and there's a binder in the back, if anybody wants to go through it, of maps like this. And what this is this is over probably, I don't know if it's a fair amount of time, because all the data points are so clustered together. It just shows where some of the mountain lions, not all of them, but where some of the mountain lions are that they're monitoring in Sonoma County. So this is Santa Rosa, right? This one right here in the middle. This is over along the coast, like up from Bodega Bay and up into Mendocino County. And then this one went way over this and up as far as Winters, and this data right here indicates to us that this is a dispersal male, which means that it's probably somewhere between 18 months and 2 years old. It has been basically kicked out of the nest by the mother, because by now they don't look like babies anymore. They look like, full-grown adults, but they don't know as much as a full-grown adult does. So the males go off and have to find their own territory. It's a treacherous process, because they always have to walk through other territory of a dominant male. This middle section, the yellow in this middle section, is a male, and it's a dominant male, and it is the only male in that territory. And then the other colors that you see, and there's probably more than this, but the other 2 colors that you see are females. So a dominant male will have 3, 4, maybe 5 females in its territory. A male territory can be, it's between 150 and 250 square miles. It's huge. And a female's is closer to about 50 to 60, 65 square miles. And the reason for that, all the 3rd graders know this, so I bet you do too, is that the females are taking care of their babies. So they can't possibly cover as much territory. The males do no childcare. They will mate with females in their territory. They'll mate with all the females in their territory, and then they're gone. I don't think that's very fair, but anyway, that's how it happens in the animal kingdom. And so the males are protecting their territory, and they're really protecting their females from other intruding males. If an intruding male comes into a dominant male's territory, it will kill all of the kittens of the females in that territory that belong to that other dominant male. So when people say, well, why don't you just relocate, a mountain lion if you happen to catch it at the mall? Remember a couple of years ago when they caught one down at the mall in Santa Rosa? Well, why don't you just relocate them? Because if you drop a male off in another male's territory, it's probably either going to get killed or it will kill all the kittens of the females in that area. And so it's never really a very good solution. Anyway, so that dispersing male just, kept going and trying to figure out where he wanted to be. And he went all the way up to Winters, which is pretty far to walk. I've never walked that far. Okay, this is the yellow is the male. The purple is what we call the Napa female, the Napa cat. The green is another female. And the two red lines there are corridors. And I'm sure you've heard a lot about wildlife corridors. If you've read anything about, the Sonoma Development Center over the last, couple years, people, the conservationists, the nature lovers, people who have their heads screwed on right, are trying to protect the wildlife corridors in that area, because the largest threat to mountain lions is human development. So if we did let somebody go in there and just develop the whole place, we would totally, mess up the entire, wildlife ecosystem. So those two red lines are corridors. They happen to be culverts. You can see that this is Highway 12 going right up through the middle here. And so they're culverts underneath Highway 12. Mountain lions will also cross highways in river, like in stream beds, riverbeds, things like that. They always want to stay covered to the extent that it's possible that they can stay covered. They do not like to be out in the open. Anyway, so that's that. Oh, and somebody told me this morning, well, what about that mother cat that got killed recently on Highway 12 and her kittens also got caught? Well, I called Quentin. He said, I have no idea what they're talking about. So he said that there's not been any kills on Highway 12 for quite a while, the last several years. Okay, I'm going to give you all the opportunity to tell me what you think a mountain lion sounds like. So you don't just make a sound. What do you think a mountain lion sounds like? Yeah, that's what I thought too. I thought it was kind of a growly sound. The pitch. Okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. If anybody wants to know about mountain lion sounds, you should talk to him. Okay, so here we go. This is what a mountain lion sounds like. And there's lots of there's about 75 mountain lions, estimated population in Sonoma County. There's about between 3,000 and 4,000 in California. And mountain lions are solitary. They spend almost all their time alone, unless it's a female with kittens, and she will keep her kittens for up to 2 years with her. And then, tell them that they need to go elsewhere because the males are eating her. She makes the kill and they come in and eat it. So she's like, okay, time for you to go kill your own prey. Anyway, you can see the tag on her ear. So this is a female. And this is what a mountain lion sounds like when it is calling another mountain lion, which is what they need to do to say, I'm over here. Why don't you come over here? Maybe we could mate. Okay, so. Can you hear it? Oh. I didn't know mountain lion sounded like that until I heard this. Anyway, so that is a mountain lion calling another mountain lion. And that is one way that they establish their territory. And they say, this is my territory, but you can come in. And another way that they mark their territory is they'll scratch the ground. Sometimes you might be out on a hike and you could see the mountain lion scratches. They have a scent in the bottom of their feet, in their pads, and they will leave that scent on the ground when they scratch it. They also will just urinate. They'll also leave scat. They will also claw on trees. They'll also, if any of you have cats, you know how your cats like rub up against you? That's the other reason I don't have cats. They always rub up against you. on your legs. Well, that's a cat marking its territory. And the mountain lions do that on rocks and trees and things like that. So, and it leaves a scent because they've got scent glands in their cheeks and they've got scent glands in their paws. Okay. Oh, come on. No, I have more to tell you. Okay, this is Santa Rosa. And these are all the data points that we got on a particular mountain lion in Santa Rosa over the course of about a month. And and you'll notice with this that the lion is almost entirely in vegetation. I mean, the only time that they're not in vegetation is when they're just crossing it from one, from one piece of vegetation to another. The main thoroughfare here was in a creek bed. So that's why you see it going up and back and up and back and up and back, because it's a creek bed and they travel, they use creek beds for travel a lot. So this is just habitat that it's called predictive mountain lion territory or habitat, because it's all vegetation. So that is where we would most likely find mountain lion activity, is where there's heavy vegetation. Okay, this is P13. Do you all remember recently when there was information out about a female mountain lion that had 5 kittens? Do you remember that? You'd see pictures of 5. Well, it's true, even if you didn't see it. Anyway, so she had 5 kittens, and it was totally unusual that this would happen. And they all seem to live pretty well up until past their first year. About 50% of the kittens die within their first year. They get eaten by something else or natural cause. This is P36. She was one, or he was one of the litter of 5 that mother was traveling with. And this guy, beautiful cat, was captured down in, near Rohnert Park, Roseland, yeah, and traveled all the way up, all the way up, all the way up, all the way back. This is over 29, all the way up there, came back. And then this was a dispersal male again, a young male. And then this is another a set of, data points we got. And there's another set of data points attached to this, that this cat went all the way over to the Tiburon Peninsula and so this cat crossed 101 many times, many more times than most cats do and live to tell the story. So anyway, this one was seen over here on the Tiburon Peninsula, and then it went all the way down as far as this Golden Gate National Recreation Area. And then it went back up to Bodega Bay, and unfortunately it was killed by a landowner. I know, isn't that terrible? Anyway, this is the area that represents one male lion's territory. There are as many as 17,000 land parcels in one male mountain lion's territory. So they're not just out there wandering around the vegetation, they're wandering around your vegetation or the vegetation that belongs to people. And so there's a lot of work being done around human and wildlife interactions and how to help the landowners understand their responsibility in keeping their animals safe, so that a mountain lion is not going to come along and like he's out walking around at night, hungry, thinking, oh gosh, I've got to go catch a deer, what a drag, and then sees a goat or a sheep in a pen, with a fence this high. You think he's going to keep going, think, oh, I'll go catch a deer. That's what I'm supposed to do. These guys belong to someone else. No, he will get up and over that fence just like that. What happens with the deer and goats is they just start running and running and running and running around. Well, this is a good thing for you to know too. If you ever see a mountain lion, don't run. It triggers their instinct to chase, and they're much more likely to attack if they're chasing, because they just go into this instinctive, place in their minds, in their brains. So anyway, that's why you'll hear that somebody got their goats or their sheep killed, because they're not protecting them. And this is one of the things I love talking to third graders about, but I'll get to that. Okay, this, I'm not going to show you that one. Don't look. Okay, so this is pretty atypical. This is a male and a female that were sharing a kill. It is very unusual for them to share a kill. They're usually very protective, very territorial, and they don't want to share. But for some reason, and there wasn't even any evidence that they mated. It's just that they walked around and shared a kill over the course of 2 or 3 nights. Just a little bit interesting. Okay, here is an example of, see those 2 eyes back there? That's a mountain lion, lying, like crouched down, ready to ambush this poor innocent deer that you see. On the left, you'll see a fence. Do you see that fence along the left-hand side of this? Well, mountain lions have gotten very smart, and they use fences as tools to help them catch deer, because obviously it limits how far a deer can run. So you can close your eyes if you want, but it's not bloody. You won't even see the kill, but that's definitely what it is. Listen. Oh, yeah, that's the dust coming up from when the lion got the deer. But anyway, you could hear, I think I said listen right when you could hear the mountain lion catching the deer. And then this is just a good example of a deer that got run into a fence and got caught in the fence and got eaten at the fence. And that was that for that deer. Okay, this is just a really interesting image of P5, who is the 5th P. Whenever we name them P1, P5, P17, P whatever, it's puma, because that's a scientific name for mountain lions. Mountain lions have more names than any other mammal. There's dozens of names for them. This is a picture of a mountain lion jumping over a deer fence, they're typically about 8 or 9 feet. You can see how easily this lion goes up and over and then comes down on the other side. Look at those back legs. And that's only 9 feet. That's only 9 feet. Imagine going up and over 15 feet. Okay. All right. So what is on the menu for these mountain lions in our area? We have done a diet study, and the diet study has indicated that their most popular food is deer, 73%, and then goats and sheep, and those are almost always hobby goats and sheep that belong to some landowner. And then you'll notice that domestic cats are also on their menu. And domestic cats are a very, very easy prey for them to catch. And it's very, very important that anybody who has a small dog or has a cat puts them in starting at dusk, and that they are never out after dusk or before dawn without an adult, a human being with them. Okay, and so then there's also, they'll kill birds. They don't kill little robins, thank goodness. They kill turkeys and things like that. Coyotes occasionally, wild boar, and then the other are little rodents. And one of the unfortunate things about the rodents is that a lot of people put rat poison out. And so the mountain lions actually ingest that rodenticide when they eat one of these rodents. They don't usually die of it, but many, many times when the necropsy is done, I think that's how you pronounce it, after they're dead, and it's just like a, what do you call when you, autopsy. It's like an animal autopsy. They find rodenticide in their bodies. Okay, so this is Quentin Martins, who I've been referring to. And this is a young guy who he worked with, and they are standing in front of a predator-proof shelter. A predator-proof shelter is what everybody who owns farm animals should have. They should take the responsibility of having a predator-proof shelter, whether it's a barn or whether it's something that they build. This young guy with Quentin created some kind of an app that you can use to get the animals to go in at dusk. Don't ask me how. Go in at dusk, and then it remotely closes the door, locks the door, and then it will open up again in the morning. Anyway, and he called it O-Pen. But what makes this predator-proof is that it's got a roof. The most important part is that wiring that you see, the screen that you see above, because mountain lions can get through 7 inches of space, believe it or not. I mean, there's a bunch of other things. It has a door that locks. The green sunshade that's on it just reduces the visual temptation of the cat for whatever is in there, because they are visual hunters. And okay, I'm going to go through this quickly. But I told you already that the main threat to mountain lions is human beings. It's human development. It's humans who have a mountain lion who's killed one of their sheep or cow, not cows, sheep or goats, and they think, well, I'll get rid of that mountain lion and I'll shoot it the next time it comes over, because they often come back 2 or 3 nights. They're not supposed to do that. They can get a depredation permit from Fish and Wildlife if Fish and Wildlife comes out and sees that it has killed one of their pets or their hobby wildlife. But you'll see that permitted killing is, that's the depredation killing. And then vehicle strikes is another big thing. And then other human contact, poaching, and other human causes. And then the other are natural causes or conflict with other lions. Lions will fight to the end if they are, in each other's territory. Okay. This is P1. P1 was the first one who was caught in the and captured and collared. This is a cached carcass, you can see over here. And P1 is the one that you heard of about a year ago, who went into a house and grabbed a dog. Do you remember hearing that? And pulled it out into the patio. Fortunately, the owner was able to stave off the mountain lion and save the dog. But they thought there's, definitely something wrong with this cat. It's been killing pets or wild hobby livestock for a while, and we don't want it to do that. It's not hunting deer anymore. There must be something wrong with it. Well, so they euthanized it. But she was also 16 years old. She was an old cat. So they euthanized her. And then this is what they found, that she had bullet wounds in her body, and that one of those bullets had just shattered her whole front leg. And she couldn't catch deer anymore. She couldn't hunt because her whole, I don't know if you call it an elbow or a knee or whatever you call it, was totally shattered. So that's why, anyway, that's why she was catching so many, of the sheep and the goats that were easy prey for her. This is a den site. And we see, data like this. We know it's a den site because there's that heavy cluster of data points in the middle. And then the mom will go out and come back and go out and come back. She has to go out during the days and come back and go out during the days. I'm almost finished, I promise. Anyway, so I'm going to show you what Quentin went out to. He had the coordinates for that den site. So he went out and this is what he found. And then we'll be almost done. Come on. Come on, little kitties. Jeff. It's not working. Oh, wait. There. Okay. These little guys are very young. You can tell because when you see them walk, they're totally wobbly and their little ears are flat against their head. That's how they're born, when their eyes closed. And this is the wonderful mother, and she spends a lot of time grooming them. That's another adaptation. They have these enormous scales on their tongues like your cats do, but these are big scales for grooming. I love this. Wait, she look at, Oh, isn't that cute? She puts her arm right over the baby. Okay, so that is a den. That area that you see is a den. Look at, she puts her head on the log. Isn't that adorable? And then, okay, then she gets up and a couple days later, she starts to move them. I mean, actually that day, she starts to move them. She moves them to other dens because they make it really stinky because they're there for a week or 10 days and they're all pooping around. And there you can hear that little squealing again. And anyway, and so little few days later, around comes a skunk and smells all around and wonders, wonder what's here. Anyway, so this is the new den that no, that is not the new den. Wait a minute. That's the old den. So this is the new den. You can see their ears are standing out from their, oh, that's the old one? Okay, so I'm lying to you. Okay, wait. Okay. Oh, here's the new den. Okay. Here we go. So now you can see their ears are standing up, so they're a little bit older. This is at night. This is the mom. She was one of 3 lions that we know that has 1 blind eye. But she still is a very successful hunter. It does not seem to bother her at all. It doesn't seem to be genetic. Okay, well, I could keep showing you this, but I'm almost done. Okay. Oh, wait, I want to go back. Okay, so what I do is I go into 3rd and 4th grade classrooms and I talk to children about mountain lions and how important apex predators are for the health and well-being of our ecosystems. And if they weren't there, the deer would completely take over and all the other animals would leave because the deer would eat everything that's edible in an area. So we go in and we talk to students about conservation and how important they are to our ecosystem. And these are just kids acting like mountain lions. And then this picture, we, at the end of our time with them, we ask them to give us a word. Every student will go around class and ask them to give us a word that describes a mountain lion. And they do, and then we take them and we make a poem, does not rhyme, a poem for them and send it back mounted on a picture of a mountain lion like this. So it's really their poem because you're using their words primarily. So anyway, that's that. There's a copy of that back there if anybody wants to read it. And these are the partners in Living with Lions, and this is a thank you slide, and that's it.
Robin, thank you so much.
Welcome.
And Lynn and I will be handing out the microphones for any quick questions that you may have. Do we have any questions for Robin? Okay, I got someone over here. Here you go.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
Sure.
So who can hear the collar emissions?
Who can hear them?
By whom can they be heard?
Okay,
Are they auditory?
you don't hear them. What the collar sends a signal up to a thing, and then it comes back to the computer. And Quentin has that computer system, and so it just dings for him. He can, but he doesn't hear it every 2 hours, for heaven's sake. Oh, I don't believe so. I've never heard that the animals can hear it. I've never heard that that's an issue. You're right.
Robin?
Yeah.
Where are those 2 corridors that you showed us on the map?
Those are underneath Highway 12, and they're in culverts, and they're over near kind of close to Bouverie. Do you know where Audubon Canyon Ranch is and Bouverie Nature Preserve? It's in Glen Ellen. They're right outside of Glen Ellen. If you're going on Highway 12 past Glen Ellen, they're right around there. No, there are not any under 101. I will get you in a minute, but there is a huge new one that is in the proposal stage down in Southern California that's going to cost millions of dollars. It's Wallace Annenberg overpass, and it's over, well, it's over, it's either over 5 or over the 405, and that's like an 8-lane highway, freeway. And the only way for those animals to get across is for them to be able to, I mean, they do successfully go across sometimes, but very rarely. And it's really messed up the lion population because they're inbreeding all the time because they can't get into other territory. Their territories are really constricted. Yeah,
Do bears and mountain lions interact, or do they just avoid
they
each other?
do, bears and mountain, and we're seeing more and more bears over in Sugarloaf, and there are mountain lions over there. Bears benefit quite a bit from having mountain lions around because when a mountain lion will leave its carcass, after it's finished eating, it will leave the carcass with some meat on it, and bears will come and feed. Bears are opportunistic, so they'll come and they'll feed off of these carcasses. And so will vultures, and so will all these other animals, mammals. So it's very beneficial when there's a mountain lion in a habitat. Yeah.
Robin, who primarily funds this program?
Well,
And do they do fundraisers?
It was, it used to be ACR, Audubon Canyon Ranch, that, it was a part of Audubon Canyon Ranch. And so they were responsible for getting the funding. And then Quentin split off from them and started True Wild, which is his conservation and safari company. And so now he's out looking for funding in a lot of different places like corporations and places like that, where I think ACR would not go to corporations to get money, or at least he's got more funding sources than they did. Yeah.
I assume there are cameras in those culverts so that they can get pictures and see how frequently they are used. So
That is, I'm sure, true, and I can't answer the question as to how often they're used, but they're used fairly often. I mean, they can see when they're getting used because the points will show them here and then here, and they know that they've had to, if it's in the same area.
I wonder how they find them,
Oh,
the corridors.
they,
Smell.
I mean, they walk up and down stream beds, and that's just their natural traveling, habit, and I'm sure they're smart. And once they probably send memos around, where the culverts are.
Robin, there is a culvert if you're driving down South 101
Oh, yeah.
and get into San Luis Obispo County.
Uh-huh.
There's one on the grade that comes and pass rolls down.
Oh.
And it's used very frequently by lots of animals,
I
not
bet.
just mountain lions.
Yeah. And I know that there's a brand new one that they've just put in. It's not, I mean, they've made a culvert, but it is on, what is it? What goes over to Santa Cruz? 17. Yeah. If you're going over from like San Jose over to Santa Cruz, there's a big underpass that's been built, and apparently it's been very successful. And the lions find these things. I mean, yeah.
For the 101 corridor in Southern California, it's for the crossing, it's Highway 101 between Malibu Canyon
Oh,
and the Santa Susana Mountains.
okay.
So, and
But I do know it's about it. I think it's about an 8-lane, 4 lanes
Yes, it
each way.
is,
It's
yeah.
enormous.
And it'll
Yeah.
be the largest one in the world when they
Yeah.
complete it.
And it's
So-
also going to be the most expensive, but it's very, very
Worth it.
worthwhile. Yeah, it sure
So
is.
my question is, and I see other people doing the same habit I have, that I take my dog out for a walk in
Yeah.
the evening
Mhm,
and up on the Wooey, so we're up against Annandale.
mhm.
And oftentimes I can tell she's scared.
Yeah.
That there's something that's changed. She can smell and she
Yep.
wants to go back home.
Mhm.
So do you think she's aware of a mountain lion?
Oh, I would
or-
imagine that she's smelling something that's, that's a threat to her. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and they're all over the place. These mountain lions they live in Annandale, and they go to Sonoma Mountain, and they're over in Taylor Mountain, and they go on the other side. Yeah. So I think when your dog picks up on that, it's probably, I don't know if it's a mountain lion, but I would imagine it is, or a bobcat, something like that.
For me? Yeah, for those of us who hike, are there any other tips besides standing still if we encounter a
Well,
mountain
actually,
lion?
if you see a mountain lion out in the wild, don't ever turn your back on it. Don't turn and walk away. You want to make yourself as big as you can. You want to make, like big movements. So you want the mountain lion to think you're big. And so even if you had a jacket on, you might open the jacket up, something like that. And you just kind of flail around and you can make noise. When I hike now, I take a pole, whether I need it for walking or not. And that's my mountain lion defense. I just figure I could, like, get out of here. And then I'd walk backwards and hope it walks the other way.
Okay, I have a couple questions. First of all, you said that the males leave their mother or their mother's
Oh, yeah,
territory.
yeah.
What happens to the females?
Well, the females also have to leave because the mother goes into estrus, soon after her kittens leave. And so she's going to be mating again, and she doesn't want a lot of diapers to change, from her last group. So she sends them all away, but the females are allowed to share her territory. The males are not. So the males are sent out and the females can establish their own territories, but they can overlap with the
Okay, so
mothers.
why I was wondering about that was genetic diversity, because looks like that if the male is involved in that territory, she's likely to be mating with her father. Is that accurate or?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that can happen.
So we're not getting the genetic diversity.
That's
that we
true.
would
You're not
like.
getting the genetic diversity.
Okay. The other
And that's the
part,
problem in Southern California.
yeah,
It's
the
just
other
happening.
part of my question has to do with our own particular lions. Can you say anything about what's up in Annandale right now?
You mean what numbers are up there?
Yeah,
P13 or people?
Well, just how many and.
You know what?
their
I
location?
cannot tell you that. They have very big territories. And so they might be in Annandale, then they might go over to Sonoma Mountain and they might go over to Tail. So I don't know right now how many lions there are in the Annandale area. I know they come and they go, and, oh, wait,
And our last question?
I had,
I don't even see anybody. Oh,
Okay.
here you are.
when I lived down in Cupertino and I would hike
put
up,
that
they
right
called
up
the
at your-
dish,
Mhm.
and where two huge dishes were, but they had paved hiking trails. And they also they always had a sign
Yep.
saying to do
They're
this.
in mountain lion habitat.
So I was walking my dog, golden retriever, blonde, and we came up at the very top and then we were gonna go down, and I saw a lab. And I went, where's the owner? I'm looking down, and then it looked at me and jumped into the tree. So I very much have seen, the little head with the really long tail, and same thing, backed up, it went on his way. But then a runner came right by me and I said, there's a
Yep.
mountain lamp there. And he goes, okay, and keeps running. So I'm watching to see.
Yeah, well,
he
people
made
don't
it.
know. They just don't know. But the other thing I'll say is that back in that Pleistocene era, there were huge wolves that also preyed upon mountain lions. And so it is probably in their DNA that they don't like canines. And that's why they will try to get away from dogs. I mean, these little dogs that we have a lot of around here, those aren't even dogs to mountain lions, so they're like little puffy snacks or something. So
So Robin, I know a number of Oakmonters do have critter cams.
Yep.
With a show of hands, could you let us know if you have seen on your critter cam or elsewhere a mountain lion? In Oakmont, I'm sorry, in
Yeah.
Oakmont.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you.
they're all over Oakmont. These mountain lions they're walking in people's, carports. And I'll answer you after.
We'd like to thank Robin for coming in today. I guess we're going to name my dog Hors d'oeuvre. We hope to see you next week here for the Botanical Gardens, and go 49ers. Don't forget Jeff